Across East Asia, 5 economies offer investment-based residency, and every single one of them got more expensive in the past 2 years. Japan raised its threshold sixfold. South Korea tripled its passive fund route. Hong Kong relaunched a program demanding nearly $4 million. If you're considering a base in the region, here's what each program costs, what it demands, and whether it leads anywhere permanent. Japan's business manager visa went through a complete overhaul on October 16, 2025. The minimum capital requirement jumped from 5 million yen to 30 million yen. That's roughly $203,000, a sixfold increase. The reason was straightforward. Only about 4% of the roughly 41,600 existing business manager visa holders had capital exceeding 30 million yen. Officials found applicants setting up shell companies and short-term rental operations with no genuine commercial purpose just to qualify. Capital alone is no longer enough either. You now need at least one full-time local employee from day one, 3 or more years of management experience, or a relevant master's degree, and your business plan must be certified by a qualified professional, a CPA, licensed tax advisor, or SME consultant. There's also a language requirement. Either you or one of your full-time employees must demonstrate Japanese language proficiency at B2 level or above. Permanent residency through the standard route takes 10 years of continuous residence. A faster option exists through Japan's highly skilled professional point system. Score 70 points or more and you qualify after 3 years. Hit 80 points and it's just 1 year. Points factor in salary, education, work experience, age and language ability. Citizenship requires 5 consecutive years of residence, but Japan does not allow dual citizenship. You'd have to give up your original passport. For investors who can't meet the 30 million yen threshold yet, a startup visa offers a 2-year runway to incorporate a company and build toward the full requirements. Since January 2025, this option is available nationwide rather than only in designated cities like Tokyo and Osaka. Japan has also hinted at a dedicated angel investor visa for venture capitalists, though details are sparse. Japan's investor visa is not a golden visa. There is no passive option. You must operate a real revenue-generating business that employs people. If that's what you want, the path is open. It just costs 6 times what it used to. South Korea offers the widest menu of investor visa routes in East Asia: active business investment, passive government fund deposits, real estate. Every track saw price increases in 2023. The lowest entry point is the D8 corporate investor visa at 100 million won. Approximately $75,000. You invest in a Korean company, hold at least 10% of its voting shares, and actively participate in management, production, or technology operations. This is not a passive route either, but the capital threshold is the most accessible in the region. For investors who prefer a hands-off approach, the Immigrant Investor Program for Public Business, or IISPB, is South Korea's closest equivalent to a passive golden visa. You deposit funds into a public interest fund managed by the Korean Development Bank, which lends the capital to Korean small and medium enterprises. After 5 years, your principal comes back without interest. In June 2023, the Ministry of Justice tripled the minimum from 500 million won to 1.5 billion won, roughly $1.15 million. The reform also eliminated a retiree discount that previously let investors aged 55 and older participate at 300 million won. At the $1.15 million tier, you get an F2 residence visa with a 3-year initial term, and after 5 years, you can apply for F5 permanent residency. A higher tier at 3 billion won, about $2.3 million, grants immediate permanent residency without the 5-year wait. One detail worth noting: the IISPB requires only 1 day of physical presence in Korea per year for F2 holders and 1 entry every 2 years for F5 holders. South Korea also has a real estate route, available since 2010, targeting qualifying tourism and leisure properties in designated zones, including Jeju Island, parts of the Incheon Free Economic Zone, and Busan's Haeundae district. The minimum doubled from 500 million won to 1 billion won, roughly $780,000 in May 2023. But the program has been extended only until April 30th, 2026, and its renewal beyond that date is uncertain. Citizenship requires at least 5 years of permanent residency, plus passing the Korean Immigration and Integration Program, covering language and civics. South Korea generally requires naturalized citizens to renounce their original nationality within 1 year, with rare discretionary exceptions. Hong Kong relaunched its Capital Investment Entrance Scheme, or CIES, on March 1, 2024 after a 9-year suspension. At 300 million Hong Kong dollars, approximately $3.85 million US, it is East Asia's only large-scale passive investment immigration program at the ultra-high net worth level. Of that total, 27 million Hong Kong dollars goes into permissible financial assets or real estate. The other 3 million Hong Kong dollars is placed into a government-managed portfolio overseen by the Hong Kong Investment Corporation, which invests in innovation, technology, and strategic sectors with a Hong Kong connection. Permissible financial assets include equities listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, debt securities, certificates of deposit capped at 3 million Hong Kong dollars, eligible collective investment programs, and limited partnership fund interests capped at 10 million Hong Kong dollars. Real estate counts up to 15 million Hong Kong dollars of the total, with residential property further capped at 10 million Hong Kong dollars. In the program's first 2 years, it received 3,166 applicants, representing about 95 billion Hong Kong dollars in anticipated investment. Not a single applicant invested in residential real estate under the program. Virtually all capital flowed into financial assets. Applicants must show net assets of at least 30 million Hong Kong dollars throughout the 6 months before applying, a rule relaxed from the original 2-year look-back period following enhancements in March 2025. Since that same date, jointly owned assets with family members may count toward the threshold. The program is open to foreign nationals, Chinese nationals with permanent resident status in a foreign country, Macau residents, and Chinese residents of Taiwan. Mainland Chinese nationals without foreign permanent residency cannot apply. After 7 years of continuous ordinary residence and ongoing portfolio compliance, you can apply for permanent residency. An annual review is required, with a certified public accountant in Hong Kong preparing a compliance report after each anniversary. Hong Kong's CIES costs roughly 3 times South Korea's IISPB at the immediate PR tier, but it offers access to one of the world's freest economies, a territorial tax system with no tax on foreign-sourced income for individuals, and a passport that ranks among the strongest in Asia. The 7-year timeline to PR is longer than most golden visas worldwide, but there is no minimum physical presence requirement during the initial visa period. Taiwan structures its investment immigration around 3 separate programs, each aimed at a different kind of investor. The standard investor visa starts at $200,000, invested in a registered Taiwanese company. Real estate purchases do not count. After 5 years of continuous residence with at least 183 days of physical presence per year, you qualify for permanent residency. Another 5 years opens the path to citizenship. The premium option is the Alien Permanent Residence Certificate, better known as the Plum Blossom Card. 2 routes qualify. First, invest 15 million new Taiwan dollars, approximately $480,000, in a for-profit enterprise and create at least 5 full-time jobs for Taiwanese nationals, maintained for 3 years. You need to have held an Alien Residence Certificate for at least 3 years before applying. Second, purchase 30 million new Taiwan dollars, roughly $960,000 in Taiwanese central government bonds held for at least 3 years. This route requires 5 years of prior ARC holding and in practice carries additional capital transfer requirements that push the real cost well above the headline figure. No applicant has reportedly been approved through the bond option alone. The Plum Blossom Card grants open work rights and allows you to sponsor immediate family members for permanent residency. Physical presence rules apply, starting the year after issuance. If your average annual residence doesn't reach 183 days over the most recent 5 years, the permit can be revoked. Taiwan also runs talent-based pathways, the Employment Gold Card and the newer Global Elite Card. But these target high earners and specialized professionals, not capital deployment. On citizenship, Taiwan generally requires renouncing your original nationality before naturalization. An exception exists for Plum Blossom card holders who qualify through the senior, professional, or special contribution streams. You'll also need Mandarin or Taiwanese proficiency and must pass the civics exam. China does not operate a golden visa program. What it offers is a permanent residency permit, the Chinese green card that has earned a reputation as one of the most difficult immigration documents in the world to obtain. Between 2004 and early 2017, China issued just over 10,000 permits. As of 2023, the total number of foreigners holding Chinese permanent residency was estimated at around 12,000. The investor route requires direct investment in an actual operating business, a wholly foreign-owned enterprise, equity joint venture, or cooperative joint venture maintained for at least 3 consecutive years with a clean tax record. Stock purchases, real estate and fund investments do not count. Thresholds vary by region. Shanghai's published standards serve as a benchmark: $2 million or more in eastern China, $1 million in central regions, and $500,000 in western provinces or in sectors listed in the Foreign Investment Guidance Catalogue. These minimums must be held for the full 3 years. An employment route exists for high earners. In Shanghai, that means 4 consecutive years with an annual salary of at least 886,104 yuan, 6 times the local average urban wage, plus individual income tax payments of at least 177,221 yuan per year. Beijing applies a similar formula. Both cities require employer sponsorship, 4 years of consecutive employment, and at least 6 months of residence per year. What the Chinese green card gets you: unlimited duration of stay, visa-free entry and exit, unrestricted employment without a work permit, public school enrollment for children, and access to public health insurance. Holders are treated as equivalent to Chinese citizens for banking, insurance, and securities transactions. Can you guess what it does not get you? Exactly. Citizenship. China does not permit dual citizenship under any circumstances. Naturalization is theoretically possible, but exceedingly rare. For most foreign investors, permanent residency is the ceiling. If you want to stay current on changes to these programs and others across Asia and globally, IMI Daily's newsletter covers them as they happen. Link is in the description. What connects all 5 of these programs is the expectation that foreign capital should produce something tangible: jobs in Japan, fund deposits in Korea, portfolio assets in Hong Kong, operating businesses in Taiwan and China. None of these is a shortcut, and all 5 are getting more expensive. Every program covered here went through at least one round of reform in the past 2 years. If you're considering this region, verify current thresholds and requirements with program authorities or qualified immigration counsel before committing capital. Now that you have the full picture on East Asia, the logical next step is Southeast Asia, where programs like Singapore's Global Investor Program and Thailand's Long-Term Resident Visa take a different approach to foreign capital. Check out the video on your screen now for our full comparison of 12 investor visas across Southeast Asia. Thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. See you in the next one.